Now, what is the new information here? We're hearing from the left, there's nothing new here. We've heard about Russia collusion. And one of the talking points of the left, this was the subject both of an op-ed in the New York Times, and I've seen it also echoed in the Atlantic, the New Republic, other places, is that we've had these earlier reviews. So what could exactly be new in what Tulsi Gabbard is bringing forward? So let me specify at least a couple of things that are brand spanking new. The first one is that the references to Trump having been the favorite of Putin, the left has pretty much dropped the idea that Trump was colluding with Putin. They've redefined the issue now to be not collusion, because they know there was no collusion. And the Mueller report, the Mueller report, confirmed that there was no collusion. The Durham report put a nail in that coffin. So they can't go to collusion. So they have to pull back to, well, Russia did want Trump to win. But what is the evidentiary basis for this? And as it turns out, that evidence was itself, quote, trumped up. Because when you look at the now declassified intelligence, you realize that there is no proof that Putin preferred Trump. There's a twisting of passages in the intelligence. At one point, for example, in the intelligence, a Russian pundit, think about that, this is not Russian intelligence, but some commentator in Russia says that Trump and Putin should, quote, work together like businessmen. He's advocating that. He's not describing the fact that they are. He's simply saying they ought to. They can do business with each other. And this is, can you derive from this, A, that somehow Trump is in Putin's inner circle or vice versa? No. Can you derive from it that Putin has a preference to Trump? No. This is not even coming from Putin. It's coming from some other guy. And yet this is massaged. It is interpreted to make it look like, falsely, that Putin has a preference for Trump. Now, the second new fact, which is a even bigger bombshell, and if the cases were reversed, this would be headlines everywhere, is that there is strong reason to believe that the Russians preferred Hillary. This is new. Now, why would the Russians prefer Hillary? It's not because Hillary was seen as being pro-Russia. The answer, as it turns out, quite surprising, is the Russians had a lot of dirt on Hillary. And this is, in fact, in the Russian intelligence dossiers. So let's look at what that dirt is. From declassified intelligence, we see Putin had damaging information about Clinton that could have been used against her had she become president. And the Russians, in fact, were not releasing that information because they thought it would be more useful to them to hold it back and use it for blackmail purposes. So what did they have on Hillary Clinton? It turns out that the Russians believed that Hillary Clinton was a psycho. They believed that she was having a mental breakdown. They believed that she was under heavy medication. I'm now quoting from the intelligence report directly. Hillary was suffering from, quote, intensified psycho-emotional problems, including uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and she was placed on a daily regimen of, quote, heavy tranquilizers. So, by the way, all of this is a one-to-one match on what we know to be Hillary's explosive personality. I mean, it would have been great to be a fly on the wall for you and I and to see Hillary's reaction on election day. It was probably very tempestuous. And so the Russians here are not giving us a portrait that is so outlandish that we could go, oh, wait a minute, Hillary is so serene. She is such a stoic personality. No, this matches the rage that Hillary is fully capable of. And and the Russians had facts about this. And the Russians go on to say one further thing, which is that she was, quote, obsessed with a thirst for power. And once again, I ask you, doesn't this seem not only plausible, doesn't this match everything we know about Hillary and about the Clintons generally, that they're perfectly willing to engage in all kinds of shenanigans, crimes. They will put up with the most horrendous marriage. Why? Because what unites them is this shared lust for power. And it must have driven Hillary into an absolutely sociopathic frenzy that she came so close in 2016 and yet never got it. When the cultural tide turns against truth, it becomes more important than ever to support the storytellers who are willing to stand for it. And that's what Angel is doing. They're not just producing entertainment, they're giving a home to stories that reflect the principles this country was founded on: faith, family, and freedom. They've released films like Sound of Freedom, which exposed the modern-day reality of child trafficking when Hollywood refused to touch it. They're backing projects like The Last Rodeo and Green and Gold, stories that celebrate Middle America, sacrifice, and generational legacy. Angel isn't answering to Hollywood gatekeepers, they answer to their members. And that's where the Angel Guild comes in. Guild members vote on which projects move forward. They help support the stories that deserve to be told, and they're proving that when ordinary people unite behind truth, extraordinary things happen. Join the movement. Go to angel.com/Dinesh. Join the Angel Guild today. Support films that reflect your values. Angel.com/Dinesh.